Hello and welcome back to the Carbitrage Podcast. We are doing episode 232, and I'm Eric Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Snetsky.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hi, viewer.
And Janice here too. Sorry
Hello.
you can't see her this
You cannot
week.
see me.
And actually, I'm realizing that. Hold on, Ryan's camera's frozen, and he just moved mine.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I know.
Ryan,
Oh, no.
what
I
did
know.
you do?
I don't know. Let's see here. Activate. Oh man, we are so good at radio. This is excellent. USB out of controller resources. That's a good thing. Anyway, I will work on that while we continue recording. But anyway, thank you for waiting for us to get back to the grind. It has been a long time. Construction is very difficult apparently in 2021. So is sourcing materials and labor. But we are finally in the new, I'm going to call it new studio, even though it's just down the road from the old one. Still using all the old equipment, so hopefully the audio quality is up to par with what you guys expect from us. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. We will get back to having our cameras mounted in a little bit more flattering angle.
I mean, they weren't really great in the
Well-
first place. They were kind of in a terrible location. But this might be worse. Who knows?
Anyway.
I can't see it.
I can see you now, which is good.
Yeah, because it used to be you couldn't. You just see a blank chair,
Correct.
which wasn't.
Now mine is not working. So again, I'm going to keep working on this while we record. But yeah, we're back.
By episode
Hopefully,
by episode 300, we might have cameras worked out.
I think, well, we're on 232 right now. I'd say by 235 we should be pretty ironed out again. It seems like when we first started, when we first moved the podcast table to the other corner,
Yeah.
and then now it's probably going to take like 5-6 episodes. We're only doing one today, but we'll get back to our regular recording schedule in 2 weeks. So start paying attention every week for uploads at that time.
Yes, and thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thanks guys. We appreciate it.
That is wonderful. I'm so happy to be back because there's been a lot that has happened.
That's true. I mean, it's been probably a month or more since we recorded on the hiatus special, and then it was like almost 2 months prior to that for real regular
it's
service.
been since Modest, really, because that's when construction started, and
Yeah, I have no idea what month that was, but
I had
that is correct.
real life happen. Janet had her cord get destroyed again. I got our payout though, so it is what it is.
I think it's just the gift that keeps on giving.
I'm selling to Johnny Langholtz. I'm tired of dealing with it. I really appreciate the money he gives me, but it's not just checking your Coinbase and seeing that Bitcoin's $70,000.
Yeah,
it's not that easy. It's a huge pain in the ass whenever that cord gets hit.
I've decided I'm gonna get a tattoo of it with the front end smushed and half painted black, and it's gonna have a banner that says "At least it wasn't arson."
Yeah.
True.
Well, I went out to go see the car after my dad says somebody bumped into the Accord.
Bumped.
Bumped.
That is being
I
generous.
just get out and the cops there. And it's they did it. They killed my fucking car. And they totaled it again. And they're like, this time the payout was only half of what the previous payout
Oh.
was. It was a $500 car. It's giving me $4,500. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it still. And I decided I'm just gonna give it to my buddy who needs a car because I'm just
Oh, Johnny.
I'm I don't want to deal with this. It's obviously cursed for me. So the radiator support's pushed in. So I was gonna try and hammer it out so I could close
Just
the
hook
hood.
it up to a tree and back it up a little bit.
I'm just doing hood pins.
That's fine too.
Yeah, I'm doing hood pins.
The hood latch was already broken. So.
The hood latch was questionable, and the first thief fixed it. The second thief broke it again.
On purpose.
Yeah, just to be a dickhead, he did it. And then this time they really broke it. So now I'm just okay.
I'm getting a very Lebowski vibe out of that.
Yeah, this car is just
They finally did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's an automatic Accord that it's all up on its maintenance, and it's got good tires on it, and the heat works phenomenally, and it's got a sunroof. It's great. Johnny's gonna be thrilled.
AC needs some work, but it's there.
Johnny doesn't go anywhere though. If he drives anywhere, it's at night, so he's fine. The headlights work. That's
As long as the windows work. I mean, I drove a daily without AC for 6 years.
Oh yeah, the windows work and there's a sunroof. So.
Also, that was how long ago?
It was a long time. I mean, it was about 30, so I probably drove that daily until 2014.
I am 100% convinced that global climate change has made summer hotter since 2014, because that's when I had my CRX. The last time I daily drove a car with a without a AC in it.
Mhm.
I'm absolutely convinced that it's literally gotten hotter on a daily basis to a point where it's like just not comfortable.
I think we have like more hot days in a row now than we ever
Yeah.
used to,
Yeah.
and that gets wearing real quick.
Yeah, I
but
think that's what it is.
I don't
like
think it actually gets hotter. I mean, I've
well,
got,
no, that's I mean,
yeah.
is like, you know, well, for on a daily, but day by day thing, it's like hotter than it
that'd
would
be like a
otherwise
weekly
been.
basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on a weekly basis, it's hotter. But yeah, I'm convinced because like I used to be like, because like I know I'm not like either that or I'm becoming more of a namby-pamby about heat.
I mean, I'm not gonna say anything.
That might be it as well. It's somewhere between global. I'm gonna blame global climate change because that's like I feel
Global
like
pambying.
yeah, that's like the millennial version of like midlife crisis.
I
It's
mean, I
like,
could never deal with cars without AC, so
It also might be that
it's just
it's
necessity,
just her
but-
complaining about it.
yeah.
That might be it.
I
So
think that's it.
So it gets you to pay attention to how hot it actually
yeah,
is.
and I used to
Like,
not
you're
care.
right.
'Cause,
It
like,
is awful outside.
We went to California for JCCS, and it was like I had to drive this Toyota Crown with no air conditioning from Silver Lake, Los Angeles, which is like just next to West Hollywood, to Anaheim, which is the equivalent of driving from like North Loop to like Cottage Grove,
Okay.
except now you're like going like
30 miles?
yeah,
Probably 20
yeah, but you're probably going about 20 miles an hour the whole time, so it's like an hour,
Super.
and there's like smog, so it's like extra hot, and it's like through the shittiest town in the world, the city of Commerce, which like after driving through that town 4 times, I'm like, you don't know, honey, we're adding 35 minutes onto our trip, we're driving via Compton, because
Straight
Compton
outta
is
Compton.
a better town than the city of Commerce. Commerce is the biggest butthole I've ever been in my life.
But it has
So-
such a good name.
I know, right? The city of Commerce, yeah.
It's full of like ambulance chasing lawyer billboards.
Ooh.
No, yeah, seriously, it's-
1-800-AXE-GARY.
Yeah. There was one that was
It's-
a really weird website.
What was it? It's like Sweet James, I think.
Yeah, Sweet James or something. They
Look
they
it
were
up.
weird. They were bizarre.
They were like extra greasy.
But
Oh.
yeah, my skin was on fire the entire time. They ended up just like picking me up, and like we stopped at a gas station. They picked me up and like threw me in Dan's Tesla.
It's sweetjames.com.
Yeah.
What's it? He's
But
a
yeah, they-
personal injury attorney.
Thankfully, Ben's
the
brother
billboards I
was
saw.
following in a Model 3, so they threw me in the Model 3 and put it in dog mode.
It's true.
I used that on Corey a few times.
Yeah. So it
You
was
wait
nice.
here. Dog mode.
Yeah, he was like, "You can play with the screen," and I go, "No, it's fine." He's like, "I got TikTok."
I'll find some cat videos. It'll be fine.
But anyway, we'll get back to JCCS at the tail end of the show, and we'll let Jana talk about it more. What I want to talk about is the other big Japanese news, the Integra.
Mm.
Have you seen it?
I just watched a 1989 Integra retro review.
Oh, good. So
Look at that. Is that H series in those? I can't
no,
remember.
89 would be. Was it the pop-up headlight?
It was a twin cam engine. I don't know.
But it did the car have pop-up headlights?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that would be a D16A7.
So a twin cam D16.
Yes.
Interesting.
It's the ZC, but they call it a D16 in America to make it easier for technicians. Because in Japan, the ZC could mean anything. They made a single overcam ZC. They made a dual overcam ZC. They made a single overcam VTEC ZC.
I didn't even know
And
they did
none
a
of-
twin
none-
cam
none of
D
them-
series.
None of them had a different engine model at all. So like, you would have to go buy a car for if the parts fit or not. But yeah, the actually the ZC is like it's like an OG, like you want to go fast engine, is you put a ZC into like a CRX, and like that cuts a second off your quarter mile time, like just right there. And then they have like 12-to-1 compression pistons.
That's
Yeah,
significant
I know.
for 80s gas.
Yeah. So you put the 12-to-1 compression pistons like into whatever engine you want and just let it rip.
They had a 4-speed auto. I'm just like, oh god, oh no, oh please no.
That wouldn't be good. However, that being said, Honda automatics do drive better than other autos.
Phyllis, I mean, it drove fine.
Yeah, I mean they're not good, but they're just they work. Like
My camera works now.
Oh, good. As far as like automatics would go, I would go with a Honda Auto, I guess.
Yeah, I
guess
do
Unless
like-
it's the 5-speed. Those are trash.
Those are
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah.
But I do have to say, Ron's automatic, even when it was super broken, still chooched.
It was a 4-speed, right?
It was a
It-
3-speed.
Ooh.
It was a 4.
It was a 4.
3-speed with overdrive.
Fourth
2.5
gear was
speed.
grind. It was
Oh.
just ground apart. First gear was very touch and go. It was missing a cap of its teeth. And so you
Just like me that one time.
Second gear worked.
Yeah, second gear and third gear worked.
But reverse was you had to do some black magic in order to make it work.
The issue with reverse was if it ground previously, if you tried to go into fourth, or if you'd put it in first on accident, reverse wouldn't work because the reverse circuit, like in the valve body, would get plugged up with metal shavings.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I knew it.
I love the times where I'd pull into a spot and then I'd be like, then I'd have to push it out.
No, the way to make it work without getting out of the car is you put your foot like all the way down on the brake pedal as hard as you can. You put it in the second and you just preload the rear end till the rear end squats. Then you put it in neutral. Usually that's gotten enough of the metal shavings out of the reverse circuit that you can pop it into reverse and then it'll go.
I love
That
how
sounds like the wagon I sold Devo.
Yeah, it's not prime.
I love that the 5 foot woman's supposed to like, yeah, I'll push it, whereas Ryan's like, I'm not getting out of the fucking car.
Hell no.
No, I
I'm
don't
gonna put
want
in my
to.
monocle and wait for somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I drive like terrible cars, like in the classiest way possible.
I left my house this morning in the Model S after preheating it. I got all the way outside. I had stuff in my hands, and I realized I didn't have the fob in my pocket. Opened up my phone, unlocked it, whatever, got in the car. Drove down here. Drove to this unit first to unload all this stuff that I brought, the mobile podcast stuff.
Yeah.
The center screen then went offline, so I didn't have app access to the car,
Oh no.
and I had no fob with me. So I had to drive home in the Phantom, because it was the easiest, most reliable car to get out. I pulled the 5 Series out. I'm like, maybe this is fine. And then I remembered I need the drive shaft really bad. Like, really bad. So, yeah, I had to deal with that this morning.
So I drive the shittiest cars in the classiest way possible. You drive the classiest cars in the shittiest way possible.
I did not want to have to do that this morning. But, like, I need to, like, the recorder was in the back of the Tesla. Like, we need this to do the show.
Oh, no.
And it was sitting 5 feet from here.
Oh
Irritating.
my gosh.
The center screen, like, I had it fixed by Pavel once, and then I had it fixed by Tesla, and it still just shuts off randomly. I'm like, I can't trust the app control on this car at all.
That's hilarious.
That's disappointing, because that's one of the biggest perks of having a Tesla.
I know, preheating it is huge.
So
I think that's like the main reason why you got it.
let's go back to talking about this Integra, though.
Yes, sorry.
So Honda came out. You know, Honda's been hyping this Integra. They're bringing back the
I
Integra.
forgot
We talked about it with the little screenshot of the headlight or whatever.
Screenshot. The headlight says Integra, like kind of post facelift DC2. It's got 6-speed in it. It's really cool.
You didn't put a link
And
in.
don't worry, I was going to add one now because I
Okay.
wasn't sure what Honda was going to do.
All right.
But
He was hoping that they would walk it back.
yes, because all right, they were hyping this up as being the new Integra, the next in the line of great sports cars, and instead, they gave us.
Another shipping container.
Oh, they didn't. They gave us the next generation of the Acura ZDX. Do you know what the ZDX
I
was?
sure do. It's a cross tour with Acura badges stapled onto it, but it was only 2 doors. It's like a really
No, it was 4 doors.
You could get a 2-door ZDX.
No, you
I'm pretty
couldn't.
sure. Really?
No, they were 4 door.
Oh.
But if you
Well,
take a
dang.
look at this photo here,
Don't worry, they put graphics on it. Let me get up
No,
the
they won't.
capture here.
because I made sure that I took just the image.
This is.
Just click the button.
I did. I'm centering it because it's like 5 pixels. All right.
That's 640.
I centered it. It's fine. I mean, on our stream resolution, it will be just fine.
It is.
The Jimny that's behind it, between our faces and the Integra, looks so much better than the
This
Integra.
is an Integra.
Well, by name.
And so there's a lot of Honda nut swingers, like people like Honda Pro Jason, who are like, you know, I understand Honda Pro Jason trying to hype this car up because his like name requires him being married to the Honda brand. I
Right.
would not have chosen that name for myself.
No.
Or
Strange.
I would have changed that maybe about 10 years ago. But like the only people that are okay with this are Jalopnik because Gizmodo isn't.
They're not car people.
They're not car people. They're getting paid
Just
by
like-
Honda to be positive, and Honda Pro Jason, who his by name literally has to like the car. And the issue is that Okay, fine. It can be a manual transmission. This car could be the best driving Acura in 20 years. I'm not
And
gonna.
it might be, but
It could be. Who knows? But I'm not gonna be a fan of it because
it looks like it's the size of a TL. I mean,
it's
looks
huge. Yeah, it is massive.
It's also,
Like I
It's
said,
based off
shipping
the
container.
Civic.
And
It's based off the Civic, which is the size of an old Accord.
you know me and 4-doors. This also shouldn't be a 4-door.
Yeah. You know how I know. I was trying to think of that because like also they've made like my favorite Integra ever. Two of my top 3 favorite Integras ever were 4-doors.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
my number one is the DB ITR, the 4-door Integra Type R.
I didn't even know they made that.
Ooh yeah.
Ooh, that's
Type in
cool.
DB8 ITR. And then
With pleasure.
the LS sedan from the first gen.
Yep.
Those are my 2 favorites. And then my third
Oh,
favorite.
yes.
Yeah, that's a really good car.
I
isn't it?
didn't. My life would have been better before I knew that existed.
Yeah, they're
Now I want one.
yeah, they're pretty affordable actually.
Oh,
But
man,
my
that's
favorite
so cool.
argument
They're
Ryan's
like
gotten
$2,500 or $25,000. I mean,
I
yeah.
mean,
for ITR,
those drive really well.
yeah, and it's a sedan, and you have here, so you have possibly the only place in which you can keep a Honda Integra safe. I would recommend it highly, and that car's going bananas like E30 and like 2013 going bananas right now for
God,
price.
that's such a cool car.
It's a really cool car.
I'm just gonna leave this up on the screen. You
Yeah.
already saw the crappy Integra.
But my favorite argument Ryan has gotten in over this brand new Integra, because everyone like isn't saying that they hate it, even though that everyone does. Everyone's just saying they're disappointed, right?
I'm not mad. I'm
And
just
then-
disappointed.
And then like these Honda people are just like, be happy, and we're like,
Be
no,
happy. We got a new driver's car. It's like
Well, you
That's
just-
not a driver's car. That's just
No.
a fun car.
Th-
like
this is a front-wheel drive manual Outback.
yeah.
Oh my.
But my
That's what
favorite
that is.
argument was Ryan was like expressing his disappointment, and people are like, "There's been 4-door Integras," and he goes, "Yeah, I love the 4-door Integras. That's not the issue here.
Right.
This just wasn't what we were promised."
So this is the thing.
Right.
This is where my issue
This
comes
feels
from.
pretty phoned in.
The 4-door Integra has always been a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always it's always been appreciated by Honda people. Because like you can have a cool Integra, but if you have a cool 4-door Integra, it's like twice as awesome.
Somebody's phone is messing with something here.
Jana.
I don't know.
Anyway,
My
so
sound's
it's
off.
that's just with
No,
our
it's
headphones.
the RF interference.
Oh.
But anyway, the issue at hand
At
here.
least it's not a crossover, says Scott.
But is it?
I mean, it's
that's
pre-
an inch away from being a crossover.
If you put a 2-inch lift kit in this thing, it's a crossover.
Yeah, it's like an inch away from being a crossover. This is my issue. This is the Integra, but this is one of many cars that Honda has totally shit the bed on for years. Like everything after the RSX, they've been doing this. I will give them the muting Kimmy's FD2. Like that was the last good Honda was FD2.
Like, you go into a dealership right now and you pick up a Honda Civic Sport 6-speed or a Honda Civic Type R. It is still an excellent car.
Yeah, it's a really good Accord.
Yeah.
That's
And
what it is.
An
It's
Accord
an
Sport
Accord.
manual, also very good. But yeah, it's not a small driver's car.
No, it's not.
just a
It's-
good vehicle.
It's a car it's too big for what it is. But the issue is that you had the 9th generation Civic, which is the generation after Kimmy's Civic.
Terrible.
that was-
Wasn't that only
that
lasted
was-
like a year and a half.
No, they did a full run of that.
Really?
Yeah, and they had to do a huge. They moved their mid-model update up a year.
Okay, that's what it was.
Then so that was released in, I think 2011 if I'm not mistaken, and then 2012.
2012.
Yeah, so then like 2012 or 2013, like the year after, they moved up the mid-model update.
I know
'Cause
Tanya
they had
leased one of those
They
when
had
she
to
moved to
fix.
California.
They had to like fix everything on the inside.
that was
Oh,
an
it's
ugly
awful.
car.
It's a terrible vehicle. It's an absolute piece of shit. And then even if you got SI, they changed the K series from having individual exhaust ports to having the single exhaust port thing.
like the K20Cs.
Yeah, so they switched the K series cylinder head out, where now you can't use any of the previous mods that you could use
Which
on all the other ones. Which
Isn't an issue now, but at the time that
at
was
the
a
time was
huge
a huge
annoyance.
issue. And also, I hate those exhaust manifold designs because they are always going to sound like garbage.
Yeah, the headifolds are not.
They're always bad sounding, and Honda has a problem with bad sounding engines already. Like, the last thing you need is to be stuck with Honda, like, header tuning. Like, you need to be able to change that around.
Scott's asking if the Accord manual is dead. I think it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
it
think
has
you have to
been
get a
for
Civic
while.
now.
Yeah, but then you had the CRZ. They said, "Hey, this is the new generation of the CRX. This would be great." And you know what they gave us? They gave us the CRX DX. They gave us the CRX that nobody wanted, nobody had asked for, and they were trying to push it down everybody's throats.
But it's
Like,
not
look how great it is.
It's not a good base model
No.
either, because it had like a base powertrain that you couldn't really do anything with.
No, like the only thing that was good about it is it was a manual hybrid. That's it. You
Yeah,
have now made a
that is
second
pretty cool.
generation, first gen, or Insight.
Insight, but it wasn't light. It wasn't aluminum.
No,
Like it didn't
it
have any
wasn't
of the.
good at
yeah.
all.
Like, the
It was-
Insight is
it-
great because it's this little aluminum.
Yeah,
like
it's actually a good car, but like the CRZ isn't. And then so they tried to do that, and everybody was like asking, like, "Hey, well, can you give us like a SI or something, like or something, like
or
anything, like just anything,
just putting a feeler out there, please.
like just give us literally
Help me.
anything." Like, and like some people are ridiculous and saying like, "I want a K series non-hybrid version." Other people are more realistic, where they're just like, "Can you just like raise the compression? Can you give us the Fit engine, which is the same engine, but like 10 more horsepower? Maybe? Like, just give us literally anything at all."
Yeah.
And no, Honda's like, they didn't do that at all. And then
They also ruined the Fit too.
the Fit,
Second gen Fit doesn't do anything for me.
the second gen Fit was good.
I know the third gen is just an abomination, but even the second gen doesn't do anything
the second
for me.
gen, I don't like the second gen as much. The first gen Fit, I think, is one of the greatest Hondas of all time.
For me, it's the XB. It's like it's the same thing. Like the first gen's a great vehicle.
Yeah,
and
the
the second
second
gen's
gen-
just like what?
Well, the second gen XB was a completely different vehicle.
I know.
But the second gen Fit, at least mechanically, they took a lot of the issues that the first gen had, like as far as handling goes and stuff, and they switched
Just
it around.
doesn't look good.
But no,
yeah,
it looks
but
like a
they
foot
changed
now.
like with the second gen. Like, yeah, they fixed everything, but they didn't keep the look, which is why people liked the first gen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, so arguably the second gen Fit is like, it's okay. The second gen
Mechanically,
Fit,
it's okay.
the second gen Fit, it's like a RSX, where it's like it looks terrible, but it is objectively a fine car. It's
With
not.
the eye roll.
It's not.
It's a fine
It's
car.
not great, but okay, like I can't complain about it. But the issue is, all right, so then they brought back the NSX, and they brought the NSX back as a hybrid sports or supercar, and it is just falling on its face. It's not competitive with the GTR. It's not competitive with the Supra. It's not competitive with the Ferrari. It's not competitive with fucking anything. Like all a second gen NSX is an affordable McLaren,
Yeah.
and it's not as good.
No. Well, yeah. Well, I would much rather have an NSX than a
Well,
McLaren.
because you don't want to be in a McLaren.
Well, that and reliability.
But I mean, as far as actual like performance,
Yeah.
because like the thing is, the first gen NSX beat the shit out of Ferraris.
It was a world beater. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was a car. That was a good car, and like you get into a first gen NSX, and you see why Ferrari ate shit after that because like they couldn't compete with
Yeah,
that.
it was up against a 328.
Yeah, and
Oh
like,
no, maybe early 348s, but
it was a 348. It was a 348 that they were up
when
against.
the NSX launched, it was
Yeah.
the 328.
Yeah, and then they
which
came out
was-
with the 348, which still wasn't as good.
No, it was a huge step up from the basically facelifted 30-year-old 308. But
Yeah.
it wasn't.
And then they like came out with the 355, which
best
was
Ferrari.
really good. But in 1996, could you justify having a car you could daily own versus yours? It still.
It's just the service cost. I mean, the
Yeah, that's the
NSX
thing,
didn't
is-
cost you anything, and the 355 is a maintenance nightmare.
That's the thing, is like you
But
still.
it's reliable and drivable.
Yeah,
But
but that's
keep in
the thing
mind,
is,
96, they also went to the 3.2. So
Yeah.
the NSX got even more powerful.
I know. And so, like, yeah, the NSX was still beating the shit out of Ferrari. So I will take a 355 over an NSX today. Like, for collector versus collector car.
I love the 355, but that's tough. The NSX is such a great car.
No, I mean, they're both great, but at the price that they are right now, I'll take a 355 over
Yeah.
NSX. The
Well,
355 is
cheaper.
cheaper and it's better. Like, I like it more. And if you'd asked me this 10 years ago, I'd
Yeah.
say the NSX, because the NSX is cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But now the NSX is finally appreciated to a point. that the 325 is the better buy.
Yeah, my uncle he has a first gen NSX, and he got it while the getting was good.
Yeah, and I think if you bought an NSX,
Got it while the getting's good.
Yeah, if you got a first gen NSX, honestly, even 5 years ago, like you were solid.
That's about when he bought his.
Yeah, that was the last time you could buy one.
He dailies it when it's nice out.
You can and it's a great car, and it it feels like a Honda in the best way. But then they came out the second gen. Second gen is just it's a tarted up hybrid Accord.
It's a car, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. And then they came out. All right, so they go. All right, you know what? Now we're gonna make an off-road truck. We're gonna bring back the Passport. And
that's like a JX.
The Passport was cool. It was an Isuzu.
Well, it was, yeah.
It was an Isuzu. It was really cool. And was it a a Bronco or a Jimny? No, but this is a off-roader. You could actually take that out off-roading. You could actually enjoy yourself like Moab and then drive home in relative comfort.
They're pretty okay too. I mean,
they were
3.2 was pretty, or 3.5 was ironed out.
Yeah,
the trans was okay.
They weren't like a perfect off-roader.
No,
but like they were good. The engine with the manual, they're cool. And even the manual thing, I'm willing to let go. Like it was a good off-roader. Now the new Passport is literally just a Pilot. It's a Pilot with a different name.
Yep.
Like I think it's like slightly different. It's like a
It
long
might be a little bit bigger.
I think it's a long wheelbase Pilot. That's it. That is it.
It's an Infinity JX35 or QX50. QX60, I don't even know what the hell
It doesn't even matter. Yeah, it's nothing. It's literally nothing at this point.
It's probably a CVT too.
Yes. Yes, it is. But like, then they do this with the Integra.
Yuck.
And it's just my issue is that Honda thinks they can just get away with saying, I'm sorry, this is what we can do right now because we can't do anything else in the world. And people are eating it up. Like, people are actually believing that. Like, I had like multiple people say, well, you should be happy they made an enthusiast car at all. I would never make a car for an enthusiast because look how everybody reacts. And I'm sitting here, I'm looking at, where's the second generation 8.6, which is fantastic by every reviewer. The first generation 8.6, even though everybody complains, that's what people are going to do, but it's still a good car. And
it is.
It's sold well enough for them to make a second generation of it.
Even though they have catastrophic engine issues, I still recommend them to people.
Yeah. And then you have the Indy Miata, where
Also a great
everybody in the world buys them. You have the Fiata, which was great for people that like actually were willing to make the jump to a Fiat.
People that love turbo lag and want a much better looking car than an Indy.
Yeah, like that's like honestly, yeah, I would say the 124 is objectively a better car.
It's a pretty
just
car.
think
It's
of
a
the
great
last
car.
the real good auto show we went to. Everyone was like fighting over sitting in the Miata, the Fiata, like
And so
all these drivers' cars that people say that nobody cares about.
Well, can't have one. It's not practical.
Not only
then
that,
get a GT86.
And not only that, people are saying, well, you can't make a super low hood line anymore. I'm looking at all of those cars.
Yeah.
Yes, you
That's
can.
just not fucking true.
You can make them lighter than old cars too, even with safety equipment.
You literally can make a better sports car. They just are choosing not to because it takes like the smallest amount of more engineering skill.
Is Mary Barr the head of Acura right now?
I honestly
Probably.
don't know. Like it seems like it. It certainly fucking does seem
Is
like
she
that.
in an instrument case?
Honestly, I know, right?
Should be.
But like, my issue with this is that
Oh, sorry, good.
my issue with this is that the like Honda for years has been saying, well, we can't do this, can't do that. And it's like, no, you can. You don't want to, and you want to tell people that it's not your fault when you make a shitty product and try to pass it off to them. And that's why I'm not a fan of the Civic Type R, because they chose to make the Civic Type R into an Accord.
Everyone that's just like, being a teacher's pet with Honda right now, look at what Toyota has done. People were complaining about Toyota being like, hey, you're getting a little boring. And Toyota's like, bet. And then they've done all this like super cool stuff. Like the Supra was like, no, that's not Toyota.
Yeah,
Is it? Okay, yeah.
So Supra's like
Supra
kind of.
was like not the best, but it was still something. And
Such a good looking car.
Well, even you don't even need to bring up the Camry
but yeah,
TRD.
the Camry TRD, like they're like
I saw one of those the other day.
Yeah, I know. I've seen two of them.
Also,
There's two in town.
Highlight for SEMA. I didn't even put that in the notes. I went to that, but the Yaris GR. Seeing
I
one
saw
in
that,
person,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, dude, nobody else cared. I'm like, this is the best thing at the entire show.
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
And so it's like, so whenever somebody's like, well, this is the best Honda can do, and I'm like, literally look at Toyota. Toyota
It is the best Honda can do. You're right, because the Honda sucks.
Yeah.
Current
I was
Honda
like,
sucks.
even look at the Siennas now. They're amazing. Like, I'm like, what? They made something that's statistically boring
Toyota
into
is
something exciting.
Such a cyclically interesting company.
Yes.
It just has like, yeah, you're just gonna suck for like 10 years. I'll be Balsi in a decade.
Yeah.
But Honda was historically, it always had something good to offer.
Honda, I've been saying that Honda hasn't made an objectively good vehicle since Soichiro Honda died.
What year was that?
1991.
Well,
All of the cars from the 90s.
the S2000's really good.
Hang on. Other than that, all of the cars in the 90s were based off the EF Civic and the DA Integra. So they didn't really design a new chassis, with the exception of the S2000, which I would not be surprised if there's some form of design development that had begun when he was alive.
What about the awesome Honda Element?
Okay. Automatic.
Which
Element.
Scott said. Also, Honda hasn't brought back the Element despite showing it in their latest commercial.
Do you
Yeah.
want them to?
The Element is a great
Yes.
vehicle.
Do you want them to bring it back?
Yes. I want them to bring a new one back. Well, no, I don't because
No,
of this.
because they're not going to give you what you want.
It's gonna be a Pilot that they just
No.
put more cladding on
You're
and make the
gonna,
roof
you know what
higher.
you're gonna get is you're gonna get a Kona. You're just gonna get a Kona. It's gonna be front wheel drive only.
And it's not gonna be practical.
awful. It's gonna suck. It's gonna totally suck. It's not gonna have the suicide doors. Yeah, it's gonna totally suck. But yeah, this is the thing is Honda hasn't made like an objectively good like
First gen Fit's objectively good. They've made some good product that didn't have
the first gen Fit was also based off of the City, which was already in production.
Fine. Okay, the Element.
This is what I'm saying,
And the
is like-
S2000, but like to your point, there probably was some development going on.
There was probably some level of development happening at that point. And I know everybody in the chat is going to say that, well, the K Series. Like, okay, they made an engine. But what does the K Series come in? That
the
was,
Honda E, Urban E.
We don't have it. Doesn't matter. That's the thing. Is like I can't tell you I like it because it doesn't exist.
I saw your eyes widen, and then it's like, Europe only.
Because you know what? That is true. That'd be
good
it'd be a
vehicle.
great car if I could
And I
drive
do
it. But
like the
unfortunately, I can't.
Ridgeline, but it's like, yes,
Not
they have
objectively
these,
a good vehicle.
They have these good
worse than an
moments,
Element, but yeah.
they're only a moment.
Well,
They're
not only
not,
that,
like,
that's not
consistently.
objectively good.
Yeah, and they ruined
That's
it.
the Ridgeline is subjectively good in the same way that the Element is subjectively good. Like, yes, those are fine cars, but they're not really that great. And even the S2000, like, is it that much better than a Miata?
No, it isn't.
No,
And they're
so
not
it's not that
reliable,
great.
which is weird for a
Yeah,
Honda.
okay. So,
I mean, there's a reason why I don't own one.
yeah. And so this is the thing is Honda has not made like a really good car for America since 1991, and I was like everybody's surprised that they've been sucking. Like no, they have. It's been a long time coming. I spent 15 years going. You know what? I think Honda's gonna that little turnaround. This might be the year. This might be there. This might be the year. And then I'm looking at it, and Honda's not turning around. Honda's Oldsmobile.
Yeah.
This new Integra, this is the 1999 Oldsmobile 88. It's just the Oldsmobile 88 for Gen Xers.
Oh, man.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Technically, I guess.
I'm
it's
happy that it's a manual, but yeah, there's nothing else interesting about it. And that's
and
not
the thing.
enough to sell me a car.
This is the issue. Okay, I will always give company credit for putting a manual into something.
Yeah.
However, if you build an entire car around the fact that it only has a manual transmission,
so
that's
it's
your
not
only
enough to
thing. Yeah.
sell me a car.
If you build the entire car around the fact it's got a manual transmission and that's its sporty thing, I
Conspiracy
don't know.
theory. They're trying to make cars around manuals with that being the selling point so they can say manuals aren't selling.
Well, I mean,
that sounds very
it's like when
accurate.
they brought the diesel Grand Cherokee and nobody bought it because you had to buy the ultra high trim with all the options to spec an $8,000 engine option. Oh, nobody bought the diesel.
No.
It's because a base 3.6 Jeep is 30 grand and
Yeah.
that one's 82.
If you debadged the Integra and showed it to me, I would not be able to tell you what car brand it is.
I would say that it's
I would call
an
it
Acura TLX, a new one, a big boy.
Big
And I would
boy.
assume it's a V6 and a CVT only.
Yeah.
I'd say Acura ZDX, the 2013 Acura ZDX. It's
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
It is. If you look up if you Google the Acura,
I will not be Googling a ZDX.
You don't want to.
It is literally an Acura
It's a
version of a
copy
cross
paste.
tour. Yeah, it's awful. It is an awful vehicle.
Every time I see one of those, I'm like, why
I remember I got stuck in a ZDX at the auto show once in like 2013 because like I just hurt my back working on my car and I couldn't like arch my back to get out of it.
Did you have a life alert?
I know, right?
Help!
No, so what I
I'm
did...
in a ZDX and I can't get out.
Trig was with me, and I did tilt my body sideways. He had to pull me out of the car.
Thank goodness for Trig. You would have died so many
I
times
would
over.
have died in
I
that car.
know.
Random auto show cars, you would have just been left for
See,
dead.
like when Blake was saying, "Why is it Trig's problem?" It
It's always becomes
problem.
Trig's problem, yeah. But
We had a conversation about how things become
course you
Trig's
did.
problem last night, and Blake was trying to argue with us, and we go, "No, it always becomes Trig's problem," and more proof.
yeah,
There you go, Blake.
at the end of the day, it becomes Trig's problem. But yeah, no, the new Integra, it's absolute trash, and anybody that tries to say otherwise is wrong. It's
Anyway,
just,
welcome back to
that's a fact.
Carbitrage.
Yeah.
That's just some real fact. It's not up for debates.
It's like the company's just lost touch. But yeah, I mean, to your point, they really haven't come out with a new bespoke platform that's been objectively good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say the Element's really good.
And
but
you know what? To be honest, I like the first gen TSX. I really like. Like, there's Hondas I like. There's a lot of Hondas I like. Like the FD2 Civic, I really
if you take a multiple choice exam and you circle B all the way down, you're gonna get a few right answers.
Yeah, but they have not like made a car where it's like game-changingly good. Whereas like if you look at Honda's 1991, like every car they had in 1991. Every one of those cars was better than all of the competition in every way.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one. I mean, like, what company makes a front-wheel drive two-seat sports car that can compete with a 3 Series? And that was a Prelude.
And again, you just introduced me to the fact that there was a 4-door Integra Type R.
Yeah, like they
That's
made like everything great.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and now they just don't. So, anyway, let's move on.
Talk about another fall from grace.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
this is right fall.
Well, I mean, it is only because Consumer Reports finally got something accurate, and that is Tesla is now almost dead last on new car initial reliability. And when the Model S first came out, it was almost at the top.
Yeah.
This I really like because everything I hate about the new like 3 and Y with their infotainment system and then all the updates to the S and the X don't work. And it's just like what I talked about this morning is like you add so much unnecessary tech and you put every single piece of functionality into it. When that doesn't work, and it will break, and mine will continue to get worse, I guarantee it, you like cannot use your vehicle, and it's very frustrating. Combine that with the fact you have to do everything service-wise in the app on your phone, which isn't working when the car isn't working. It's just a complete vicious cycle of terribleness. So
Yeah, it's like the iPod versus the Zune. My Zune lasted 15 years. My iPods lasted 5.
I mean, I have a 2001 iPod, and it still works perfectly.
Well, the classics
How many
work,
how many
but
times have you had to go through it though?
I had to put a battery in it 10 years ago.
But, I
That's
mean,
it.
classic iPods are different.
But you know that for a fact.
That's
that-
not a
I-
good argument,
I
unfortunately.
they're
The
not.
Zune
I should
sucks.
have
No,
said the
well,
iPod Touch.
This is the thing is,
Yeah.
well, no, with iPods is they had the planned obsolescence. They've always
With the
had
touches,
that.
not the
trying to
nanos
add
and stuff.
music.
No, even the normal iPod had planned obsolescence, where you can, if you update the new iPods, it will
yeah.
brick them, guaranteed. Like any iPod, like that happened to 3 of mine. They all bricked themselves.
Yeah, that started with the 4th gen. So when you went to the click wheel, the gray click wheel, anything that's got the click wheel, you just throw it away. But the earlier ones, the one with the 4 red buttons, and then the 1st and 2nd gen, which were the huge chunky boys with FireWire, those are really solid.
Yeah. So,
I
but
meant to say iPod Touch versus the
iPod Touch was not great.
but like compared to like, your typical iPod,
Yeah.
the vast majority of iPods in the world, the Zune was better for long-term reliability. It was worse, but long-term reliability, you would have.
I don't think anyone kept one long enough to test that.
There were a
Maybe
few
right.
people, but
There was
Jana's
me.
They
one.
did
Yeah,
make
Jana.
them in Fisi color though.
Jana, she's a Zune person, and they're like 15 years to last, and without problems. really.
Mine
They'll be
isn't
horrible the whole
charging
time,
right now, and so I need to find a way to get it to charge.
but no, you're
Just put a
one
battery
of
in it.
your 3 doesn't charge right now.
I lost my other one, unfortunately.
Battery,
it's at
I'm
the house.
sure, is
at the
easily
house, honey.
changeable.
Yeah.
It's at the house.
Oh, I lose my stuff.
She's got ADHD. But anyway, so
It's fine.
yeah, so it like Zunes are like the
This-
thing is, they were bad from the start, but
Yeah.
the iPod has aged to being just as bad for UI compared to something modern.
The iPod Touch anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you're getting something that sucks regardless. At least have something that sucks and is reliable, and that's a Zune.
To your point, I'm gonna keep on the iPod train, but anyway, an iPod Touch, if you bump the corner of the device, your touchscreen stops working and you can no longer use the device. If you bump the corner of an iPod or a Zune with physical buttons on it, guess what?
It still works.
You can still use it.
Yeah.
And that's very much this. I'm like, I lament the fact that my car doesn't have a physical headlight switch and all this other stuff. I'm like, if I get in that thing and the center screen isn't working, I can't start it. If it fails while I'm driving, everything still goes into a fail-safe mode. Like the throttle goes into sponge and it puts the climate control at 72. But like in the morning, like I've had issues.
Yeah.
And I've had the thing looked at. I mean, I'm happy to see, hopefully, I mean, Consumer Reports is so irrelevant these days, but I hope that this drives a little bit of a deeper internal dive as to what they're doing. Because things like the yoke and the gear selector on the screen, I'm like, no.
That's
Don't do that.
too much faith in a touchscreen, which I've always been and always will be finicky.
Yeah, even controls on the steering wheel, like signals. I'm like, okay, I mean, at least it's a physical button.
There's another thing here.
Okay.
Consumer Reports, since the launch of the Tiguan, has consistently put the Tiguan at the back of the pack in every way possible. It is
Good.
the car, or the truck gets a 1 out of 10. Somehow dickheads keep buying them.
Accurate.
Oh, the Volkswagen Tiguan. Okay.
I don't have any faith that this is going to do anything, because Volkswagen doesn't fix the Tiguan.
Because it keeps selling to idiots, and Teslas keep selling to idiots.
Tesla
Well,
people
and
are objectively stupid.
Tesla's, like...
They're very well educated, but they're dumb.
The people that buy Teslas are just like the Honda fanboys, except for they don't know anything about cars.
Mm-hmm.
So they just let this, continuous abuse of, just continue because they're like, well, tell
Daddy
me
Musk
something
knows
better.
what's best.
And I'm like, electric Fiat, and they're like,
Oh, so good.
and then I'll just keep listing all these great electric cars, and they're like, well, and I was like, no, just say that you want this weird tech, and then yes, the Tesla's the car you want, but they just make all these other excuses, and they're like, you can be like, nope, here. And you can break down their argument, and it just, at the end of the day, they just really like Elon Musk, and they really like the concept of Tesla, and they don't want the concept to fail.
And I don't like either of those things.
No.
But I like my car.
Yeah.
So it's...
I think Teslas are like cool cars, but they're not built nice.
Not anymore, anyway. To the point, I mean, the Model S that is still in production used to win very high accolades for being incredibly reliable. That's back when they still had a physical gear selector and all this other stuff.
Cool chrome trimmering in the front.
Yes,
Yeah.
like my car.
Yeah.
That's why I gave
that's I like old boy Teslas. Like I don't want a modern one. I want the old one.
And like even like Peter's car is a 2016. It's a year newer than mine, and he just brought his in for service. Shocking. And he got a 2015 like mine loaner. He's like, fam, the build quality is so much better in this thing. I only want to give it back. I'm like, really? It's surprising.
Just a year difference.
Yeah, apparently 2014, 2015 are like the sweet spot where they fixed all the really early problems, and they hadn't done any changes to it yet to have new devices in it that will now fail.
Yeah.
But I mean, the center screen has been a constant issue. It's the NVIDIA Tegra 3. They use eMMC memory, and it just constantly flakes out.
Which is like super frustrating. That's why I get worried with the Buick because all of it is electronic.
Buick.
My Buick, because it's all electronic, and the person who was selling it to me was like, yeah, it's automatic this, automatic that, and he saw me get upset, and he's like, it's so cool, and I go,
give me a
what if
lever.
the windows break?
One of the windows are broken, but you know what? It's 1961 Buick. So guess what I can do?
Buick.
Do you know what I can do?
You can go to a catalog and order a part brand new.
Who needs to order a part when you can just disassemble an electric motor, take the little brush and push the brush out in a millimeter? Done. That's it. It's so easy. I still have 1.5 centimeters of brush left on that. I just needed to move the little tang back a little bit. It's like setting a point. It's so easy. So I fixed the starter. You know how much a starter was for that son of a bitch? It was $500, and it's like if you crack the case. However, do you know how much fixing it was? It was about an hour time. It was an hour time and to buy a weird crescent-shaped wrench for $10.
How they bolt on is a little strange, and the fact you have to shim them. But other than that,
No, you don't have to shim it on this one.
Well, for a replacement, you might be.
Yeah, the replacements you do, but the original you didn't have to. But yeah, it was great. I loved it, and every part you can buy the individual parts for it. That was so nice.
Yeah, that era's gone, and that sucks.
No, and
that's why I lamented I was so upset when they took the actual buttons off of smartphones because the touchscreen breaks. what are you gonna do? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
people keep, like, just like with the Tesla, people keep going, I want better tech, I want to be able to do everything with the touch of my
Oh,
finger.
I want it to be able to update and change with time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but they won't. They're going to obsolete it in 2 years and you have to get a new one.
Yeah,
You know
and
what-
so it just, I'm glad that it's proving itself and I wasn't just a wacko with a
it's-
tinfoil hat.
and it, like I said, it's going to get worse.
So, actually, good news on that front.
Okay.
As you know, the world is in a total climate crisis in like
The
every way, and
dumpster
actually, that is a benefit to people like us who like cars like Teslas but don't want shittier Teslas, because with the new climate summit, one of the big sticking points was planned obsolescence of electronics and making a more reliable smartphone and making more reliable electronics that are repairable. And that's actually why there's been a lot of like moves into making right to repair, like for like John Deere and stuff, like actually a law. They've been coming at it from an environmental standpoint, and if you ever want to make anything a law, like bring the environment into it.
I mean,
it will just streamline it right through Congress.
E-waste is a big problem.
It's actually what happened is the right to repair thing it was stuck in courts for like literally since we were in high school.
True.
With John Deere, and then as soon as it said all these
Environmental
people are throwing out tractors and buying new tractors, which are really bad for the environment to make, and now we have a bunch of old shitty tractors that aren't repairable, and that's actually it's the e-waste, it's the e-waste thing. And they're like, no,
E-race?
I know, right? they're like, no, you need to allow
Hey, white,
other
black,
people
I'm
to make
E-race.
these parts, and you need to allow people to fix their stuff.
Yeah.
And I think with Tesla and the screen thing and everything, the right to repair laws are really crucial. And I think from an environmental standpoint, in the next 5 or so years, we're going to start seeing things like that go away very quickly. And I'm here
I
for
think
that.
so too. Or at least, I mean, if I had a factory certified tool and I was able to change a board myself that I could buy without getting it through Tesla, fine, I don't care.
And that's the thing,
But right now, can't.
Can't
You
wait
can't.
to tinker with things again.
Yeah, I'd love to hack that car. It'd be great. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that I could do with it that Tesla won't let you do.
Yeah, so it's going to be very nice that we'll be able to probably do that in the next 5 years or so.
I think so.
I say 5 years. I'm really bullish on this because of environmental.
Thanks, Greta Thunberg.
Yeah. Thanks, Greta. Like,
I mean, Apple of
Yeah.
all people, just released factory tools. So it's
exactly.
like,
And like, it's Tesla's only a little worse than Apple, so.
yeah.
So I think
Yeah, and Apple's still fighting the fact that the UN wants them to go to USB-C, and everyone's like, but I don't want to get rid of my lightning cords, and it's like, use USB-C. Your laptops already use them. Apple laptops already use them.
The cord is a lot cheaper because it doesn't have a chip in it. It is a lot less longevitous than Lightning. Like, Lightning cables are really durable. But, yeah, if you're going to keep a cord on it, it should just be USB-C. Their iPads have had USB-C for 3 years.
exactly.
So it's
So-
like,
But they're just going to ditch the connector entirely, you know it.
oh yeah.
Speaking of our cyberpunk future,
Yes.
I want to actually talk about a concept car that was good and not bad, like the
A second in the
Integra.
series, even.
Yes. This is the ritzy retro
Oh, yeah.
Luxo barge that Hyundai released, the Hyundai Grandeur heritage concept. And if you're wondering what the Hyundai Grandeur is, so in the 80s, Mitsubishi had a car called a Debonair. And originally it was like kind of a miniaturized clone of a 63 Lincoln Continental.
Okay.
And that literally lasted from 1964 until 1986. Yeah, 1986. And the reason for that was the Seoul Olympics were happening. And Hyundai they were captive importing Debonairs as their most luxurious car.
Okay.
And Mitsubishi was going to can it, and Hyundai's like, no, wait, don't can it. We want that, actually. Could you make another generation? And Mitsubishi's like, we really don't want to. And Hyundai's like, how about we bankroll it? Like, we will pay for it. So the Korean government, effectively, paid Mitsubishi to make a second-generation Mitsubishi Debonair. And this was captive imported to Hyundai is the Hyundai Grandeur, because when everybody was in town for the Olympics, they needed to have a domestically made luxury car to shuttle around dignitaries and stuff.
Sure.
Like, that's literally why this car existed. And that's why the second generation Debonair that eventually Mitsubishi had an AMG version of.
That's right, because it used to be an out-of-house tuner.
So, yeah, they made the Mitsubishi Debonair and the Hyundai Grandeur. And the Hyundai Grandeur is actually really, really, really cool car. And then, like, you would get it most commonly with, like, a 2.2-liter, like, 4-cylinder with a carburetor and, like, 0 to 60 in, like, the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter when you're going 30 miles an hour, though. Like, and you have a chauffeur.
Like you said, it's for shuttling dignitaries.
Yeah,
so.
and, like, the chauffeur, you're not going to see the chauffeur putting his, like, foot all the way down onto the floor to, like, get away from the stoplight. But anyway, they did make a 6-cylinder version that was, like, occasionally purchased. However, since then, the car's kind of become, like, a retro sort of, like, thing in Korea. So, like, for, like, Korean pop culture, like, that would be the equivalent of, say, like, a 63 Continental is to our pop culture, where it's,
Sure.
like, that's a cool retro car to have, is, like, if you want to be, like, if you want a cool, unique limousine, you go hunt down a Hyundai Grandeur. And so they made the Grandeur concept, and what this is actually a concept for Hyundai's LED and their infotainment systems moving forward. Obviously, they're not going to make this exact car. It'd be cool if they made this exact car. They should, but
I still like the pony concept more than this, but
the pony concept is great. But if you actually look at, so if you scroll down on this Japanese nostalgia car article, they have the original dashboard in the updated version, and I love how they're going to go about this updated version. It looks great. Like, you have all your touchscreens and everything. However, if you look, you still have a push button start, you still have turn signal stocks, you still have steering wheel controls, you still have your own stuff. And I also like how they, on the steering wheel, they replicated where they had buttons on the bottom of the steering wheel, and they put a little touch screen there. That's just, it's really cool. Like, I don't know if that would go into production, but it's a concept of what might become. I also really love the spatial use of dashboards coming back. Like, that's really nice to me. Because, like, for the longest time, we've had dashboards. They're just, like, this big curved thing. You can't use it for anything. But now they're bringing back all these, like, retro dashboard designs. And some of them are making a production, like the new Honda Urban, where they have the cool, like, retro-style dashboard. I like that. But yeah, they're also doing, like, kind of what they're going to do, like, a nod towards their design for their interiors as well moving forward. So if this is representative of what Hyundai wants to do moving forward, I am here for it.
I like the infinity mirrors in the ceiling in the back.
Oh my god, the infinity mirrors. And the infinity mirrors in the doors as well. Like, the ceiling and everything, like,
It's just an 80s titty bar in the back of that thing.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, it looks, they did that, and they updated that in, like, such a cool modern fashion. Like, you could totally throw that into, like, a Kia Stinger.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
exterior, and it would totally fit. Like, it would be, like, the coolest, like,
Kia, time for a Grandeur trim of the Kia Stinger.
Yeah, so I think, I'm a really big fan of their headlight design. That's the big thing that they wanted to highlight.
The big LED matrices.
Is they really wanted to highlight that they're going to be doing, they're going to be going really big on LEDs moving forward. So I'm here for all of it. It looks cool as hell, and I can't get enough of this whole car. The whole dashboard's actually a soundbar.
Because why wouldn't it be?
It's a stretched Mylar soundbar. Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah, cool. Mylar? It's electrostatic then.
Yeah, like, this is
neat.
actually a really cool design. God, I love this a lot.
I love electrostatic speakers. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that.
Wait, that's like a
stuff.
physical
Yeah.
concept car? That's cool.
Yeah, this is
So
so
it's built on. It's like the pony concept. It's built on an old chassis of a Grandeur,
Yeah.
but it's been completely updated.
oh, it's
Well,
really cool.
I can't tell the difference between computer-generated images and real-life images anymore. So
Okay.
It's like,
Rendering is pretty good.
So what they also have is for, like, their other speakers, for, like, surrounds, for their stereos, for, like the speakers on the parcel shelves and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're also doing a soundbar where you have, like, a speaker that's, like, inset, and then they just have, like, a big wooden, or not, obviously not wood, but it'll be probably plastic thing, so you'll have spatial sound in the cars for your stereos. This is gonna be really rad. I'm excited for Hyundai's future. Like,
I want an electrostatic speaker system in my car.
yeah.
that sounds really cool.
It's probably less temperature sensitive too.
It sounds super rad. So yeah,
Oh my
I'm here
gosh.
for Hyundai. Like, Hyundai's future is my future. It sounds
If
like.
anyone can figure out why my mom's fourth gen Sienna makes this terrible screeching sound with the CD system.
It's the CD player.
If anybody can help me stop it.
The CD player shorts out and just plays it, the loading motor just turns on randomly.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a
consistently, and there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, you just need a new head unit, honey.
But it never makes the sound when we take it in, so they're like, we're not gonna fix it, and I'm like.
You have to drive it for a while. Huh.
So I have recordings of it, but if anybody just, even if they just take a hammer to it, I don't really care at this point. It's awful.
Call us at 555-4212.
You know, I bet if you try loading CDs into and out of it, like a whole bunch, because I think that, because you haven't really tried for a while.
Put like 10 CDs in there.
No, the reason I say this is because that is the loading motor, and that motor's got to be wearing out. Because that motor's been running more.
I'm not getting the original Twilight soundtrack stuck in my mother's van.
Don't use that.
Load like a blank CDR.
Oh.
Yeah, just like a whatever CD. Any CD,
or like
something like
10 of them.
Yeah, like just
get a bunch of blank CDs, put some random music on it.
Not even, just make sure it's broken so when they take it in, they're like, oh, there's an issue
now
with your
it's
CD
clearly
player.
broken. Yeah, you just need to you need to move it past that point.
It's like a sleeper hammer.
Yeah.
There was once when I was working at a repair shop where we had a customer who had a aftermarket warranty, and he had timing chain slap, and the warranty company would not warranty out slapping timing chains because they're still working. So you
broke it.
We drove it, and we just gave him a loaner car, and we drove it to lunch at full throttle in first gear. And then immediately stopped, turned the car on and off, a whole bunch, everything we could to like destroy this timing chain.
Safely.
And after a while, it took us about 2 or 3 days, and eventually the timing chain let go in McDonald's parking lot, and we had to tow it back. But hey.
Did insurance pay for the tow too?
No, it was just it was the shop owner that did it. But yeah, the warranty company did finally pay for it, and they were like, did this break while you had it? And they were like, yeah, we told you it was about to break, so we just drove it for like about an hour in total, and it broke.
We just took it on a test drive.
Weird.
And
oh no!
They were like,
and now you have to put an engine in it.
And they were like, all right, so they were like, well, your last claim was just for a timing chain. I'm like, yeah, it was before it broke. And they go, so why do we need to do this other stuff? Because it broke. And they go, so you need a whole new cylinder head? Yes. Why do you need a whole new cylinder head? Because the timing chain broke. Timing chain broke. A valve was stuck in the downwards position. The piston came up and shoved the valve up into the cylinder head. So yeah, it's broken. So you need to give us a whole cylinder head, also a piston.
Just a whole engine would be cheaper, probably, but okay.
No, they're just going to do what they're going to do. And I'm okay with that because I hate aftermarket warranty companies like that.
Me too.
I will, like...
I'll die on this hill.
Yeah, no, I will take overtime and, like,
That's one of my favorite newer expressions. I will die on this hill.
Yeah.
Speaking of dying on the hill and warranties, we'll have to sometime tell you about the fiasco. At the same day my Accord was totaled.
So fancy.
The Mazda 3 was also
My
totaled.
dad's car was totaled at the same
Oh
time.
no.
Well, that's another
That's something we're talking about.
I just had to get it out of my
We'll
my
talk
brain.
about that off air because that's something I'm just frustrated about that whole situation. But anyway, so let's continue pushing through.
Coming back to things that often get mentioned on this show, a Toyota Sienna, which is a minivan, and a Buick, which is a car. And something that I don't want to talk about but do, the ugly as sin, only a mother could love it looks of the Chinese market M3, M4 design. How is it that Buick gets it so right when it comes to a Chinese design with the GL8 minivan concept? Because this thing looks epic. And it's a minivan.
But I saw a very brief snippet.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It is so good. It's just...
It's really, really good.
So, the Chinese market, when they start to dictate design, which is happening, you get things like the M3 and M4 with BMW, which is awful.
You know why this looks good? Because this already exists. It's called Toyota Alphard.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a Toyota Alphard and a Nissan Legrand put together.
This looks like a Sienna EV.
Yes.
Yep, that's actually Alphard is just a tarted up Sienna.
Sienna.
Yeah, Sienna, and then a Nissan Legrand is Nissan's actual, like, they designed it.
Have you gotten to the interior yet? Because it looks like a 60s Buick.
Good.
Buick.
Like my Buick?
It's seriously got 60s modernist lounge chairs in it.
I'm really into this design. Look at that.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I like
Shit,
that.
Yeah.
looks good.
That looks comfy.
It's a minivan. It's so good. But look, this is
Minivans-
dictated by Chinese market designs.
Minivans are objectively better than sedans. Maybe it's just because
Correct.
Chinese people just have it out for sedans.
Go to photo number 15. It looks they're at a low camera angle and they're looking at this chair up into the starry night sky. It looks like you're on the bridge of a Enterprise. It's pretty great.
All right,
It's pretty
let's
great.
see. Ooh, I saw that.
Yes.
Where was that? That's very
15.
fancy. Yes.
Anyway, I'm about this.
Yeah, I'm absolutely here for this. Oh, they're also swivel chairs.
Yes, they are. Mhm.
Oh my.
So it's basically
the 60s
a
Buick.
Eurovan. Yeah, Buick Eurovan. Gyrovan.
I'm
Electric
really-
Buick Gyrovan.
Really a big fan of this a lot. God, this is beautiful.
It's awesome.
Wow.
So good.
I haven't felt this way about like a concept set of pictures since like the early 2000s. Like
This
wow.
is.
This
I've
could
I've
happen.
had this feeling a lot lately because it was actually Peugeot that made the 505
True,
retro concept that I really liked. Like that
Mhm.
one, I still want that to come out. And then, yeah, this is quite
The
good.
Grandeur and the Pony.
Yeah, the pony and the Grandeur, and this, and it's all very good. None of it's Japanese, and
No, but I mean, they made the Tourex Buick wagon. That thing was beautiful. So,
So-
maybe we can actually get this.
since I've been like in the last like year or so, my interest in Japanese cars has just been waning so much because of what modern Japanese brands are doing.
Mhm.
Like I never thought it I never thought it would happen. Where it's just like, whoa.
I mean, it's my interest in BMW. I mean, back in high school, they were
Yeah.
making nothing but good product. And now I'm like, I would never recommend you buy one of these things.
No, it's just like BMW don't care about
No.
like, and like I think like with American cars, like rising interest on customs and stuff is like because American cars are so dead and gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been a solid 30 years since there's been an American car that I really, really, really wanted. Like occasionally they'll have some like weird one-off from like Australia that makes its way here that isn't actually an American car, but there's not been an American designed car that I've enjoyed since the bubble Caprice.
I really like the first gen Model S. Well, I liked it. That was before Tesla owners were who they are
And I
today.
also don't
It's before
really-
Elon
yeah.
Musk started a Twitter account and all this other bull crap. So there's a lot of stuff that, like you said, it's one-hit wonders for the most part since then. It's
Yeah.
the Honda thing, where if you guess B on all the multiple choice questions, you're gonna get a hit here and there.
Yeah, and I think with American cars, it's like they've just been so like just like dead to me. Like now I can actually appreciate their cars.
Mhm.
Also, I like that they're depreciating in value. So now the cars I really wanted like 10 years ago, I can kind of afford them. And it's like they make like so many weird different like back like in the day they made like every single model had a different head like roof line.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like and some
The parts departments must have been an absolute
like when I was
nightmare.
showing, I think it was a couple episodes ago. I was talking about the '59 Buick. Is the Buick
Yeah,
Riviera?
that had the different roof.
Yeah, like the Buick Electra 225 or whatever Riviera. And it's like you were looking up and you're like, I don't get it. I'm like, oh, you didn't type in Riviera, and you typed in Riviera. Goes, oh,
It's a different car.
it's a totally different car. Like it looks way better now. It's completely different. Yeah.
Well, the looking better thing was your words, not mine.
But I mean, it was a completely different car, and it's like
Yes.
that's the thing. It's like I've been discovering that there's more and more of that's just happening. It's like that is what classic Japanese cars are to me, where there's just like so many different weird trim levels. Is like there were like probably 15 different, like in like 1990, there were probably 15 different body styles of the Daihatsu Hijet.
that's fine.
And that's like why I'm interested in things like that. It's
Probably
like,
still a lot of parts commonality between those 15
exactly.
different
It's just
body
all
styles,
this
though.
is just different body work, and
Whereas,
it's
like in '60s General Motors, trying to get a set of
oh,
brake
no,
shoes.
they were all the same. Don't worry. Don't kid yourself. But usually there'd be like some weird shit happening in the background to make the part work.
All right.
You're thinking of like 80s GM, where they were trying to continue doing that, but then they had to like worry about like.
I'm talking about like the peak division between like Buick, Pontiac, Chevrolet.
Oh no, you can't go between the two brands if it's within the same.
Oh,
brand.
yeah.
If it's within the same brand.
I'm
like-
talking about between the brands.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean, if you wanted to like, if I wanted to get like take my Buick Invicta and
Buick.
I needed to like grab a part off of
Your Buick
Buick. Buick Invicta. Your Buick Invicta, whatever.
Well,
Buick.
it's yours for now.
The Buick
then it
that
will
we were
become
talking about.
ours.
The Buick.
Your hours, not mine.
If I'm trying to find a part that I'm trying to work on it, I can probably make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's a mechanical thing, if I need a U-joint for it, it'll work. If I need,
it's off the shelf Spicer parts.
If I need like a window motor, I'll just be able to get one. Like if I need a trim piece, all right.
I
that's
just have
gonna
to
get a
go
little
up to
weird.
an old guy and be go, BQ parts, please? And you go, yeah, I got
Opens
a
up
box
his trench
all
coat.
back.
What
Yeah.
do you need?
He doesn't have any pants on, but he has all the Buick parts
Asbestos
that you
brake
want.
linings here, window motors here,
Exactly, yeah. Do you want your like mid-century like clock that sits in the center of the
cork
dashboard?
nailhead valve cover gaskets.
I think I've had 3 people go, I have parts for you. And I go, oh, thank you.
Cool.
Do I accept them, or is that...
So, speaking of your interest in cars, honey,
yes,
Yes.
interest in cars?
I've mentioned how you have been
I'm dictating the market with my
yeah,
mind.
you are like an oracle
Yes.
of increasing value. Your interest in a vehicle immediately, and like it's been like consistent.
Is this
By
why
a-
Mike had 20 questions for me
Yes.
about cars? Okay.
Yes, exactly. You always like precede the market by about 9 months is your interest in vehicles, because International Harvester Scouts, Janet's been on a big international kick, and if you look on Bring a Trailer in the last year, Harvester wildly modified Harvester Scouts have been going bananas. If you look since January 2021, there's been 5 that have sold around
At or
100,000.
100, yeah.
And they're all like ridiculously like Cummins 4BT powered,
Nice.
L96 powered, LS3 powered, Vortec powered, and modified, which is the engine stock, but everything else is modified on it. And if you look at this, like, if you wanted to buy an International Harvester Scout, the most expensive Harvester Scout in 2019 was $60,000 on the site. Since then, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in 2021 alone that have eclipsed that. So, and Janet, you started getting excited with those a little bit before the pandemic. So, yeah.
Probably, I wouldn't say like 9 months. Like I've liked them for like the last couple years.
But you've been like mentioning them. You started mentioning them about right here.
So what I need to do is stop telling random men that ask me what my
Yep.
favorite car is. I just need to stop telling them and
Start brokering deals.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the Elon Musk to Dogecoin with cars.
The good news.
Because French cars have gone up too after I started telling people I like French cars.
French calls.
Well, you know why? Because you're
They
the
just
only
wanna
person.
impress me.
You're the only person that figured it out that like no woman on earth gives a shit about a muscle car. If you want to pick up every dude in the world, go buy yourself a GTO.
Yeah.
If you want girls to like randomly jump in your car, go buy a
Nissan Pao.
Nissan Pao or that looks like a French car, or buy like an actual Renault 4.
Yeah.
like that's how you like pick up. That's how you.
Or a
women-
Twingo.
Or a Twingo. Yeah, exactly. The good news is
Pow is a good answer though. Well, who was it? Was it Janich that told us that?
that was Hip. Because Hip
Yeah.
he was driving down the road and he'd have to lock his doors to stop women from getting in his car.
He has given several strange women rides.
So have I.
But so the good news is with International Harvester Scouts is stock ones are still pretty affordable, and there's a trillion out there. So
Yeah.
it's not a original Ford Bronco issue where they're unattainable. But you can still get lots and lots and lots of International Harvester
I'm
Scouts.
still
too.
mad at Mocha's parents' neighbor for not giving me their Broncos, but you know, it's fine.
Exactly.
So I just need to keep my mouth shut and write down in a little black notebook and hide it what car I'm interested in.
And then revisit in 9
and
months.
revisit, and then I'll be like, wow.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of interesting thing.
Way back in the day on the Autoblog podcast, which used to be really good, there was a writer, Zach Bowman, he's moved on to later and greater things now, still a really good writer. but he had
I'm
an
familiar with the name
International
now.
Scout project vehicle, and it was so fascinating to hear about the build process and how awful they are to work on and how hard certain parts are to get.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if you can find
they-
one that's been sorted,
They had a bespoke engine.
do it up. No, not even just that. I'm talking like chassis and body parts and just like bushings.
Everything
for
was weird.
was just-
Like, everything was bespoke.
you got to go to a tractor store to buy all your bushings and crap. So it was fascinating. But anyway, go back and listen to maybe the old episodes there because it was a really great story. Okay, all right. Back to the retroing of moderns and the whole new Skyline parts. Toyota's actually making E86 Corolla parts again, brand new. So that car you showed me earlier, you can get brand new front end stuff for it, straight from Toyota.
Off air, I showed Eric a A86 that had been very promptly smashed into probably a pole or something.
Yeah, it was very
Very
It
narrow.
was a narrow contact patch, but
But-
very hard contact.
Yeah, it was very hard contact
Light
on a
post?
small surface. Yeah, like a light post, literally.
It seemed like a telephone pole.
Light
Yeah.
posts
It looked very
tend
telephone
to
pole-y.
take out Toyotas.
You're not wrong. I'm trying to see if I can find this post so I can show it on the screen, but I guess it doesn't much matter. But yeah, it was one of those situations where the car was like, luckily the radiator support,
Done.
like the radiator is done. The radiator support itself was done, but the radiator support bolts unbolts from those because they had different radiators for different trims.
It's like a 2.6 liter 190.
Exactly, where you just unbolt it, but you had the headlight brackets. If the headlight brackets are screwed, then you're screwed.
Yep.
But the headlight brackets appeared to have been in the same spot. It looked like they were fine, and the front bumper was pushed in about a foot, and the engine was totally screwed. But it was also a 3AC, which is like the carbureted
Well, the
one you
engine
don't
looked
want.
fine. Didn't look like it pressed that far in.
Well, I mean, if the
You wouldn't use
radiator
it.
slams into the fan, which is connected to the crankshaft,
It's fine.
you might run into some oil leakage issues.
Maybe.
Eric will just fix it.
The thrust bearings on the crankshaft will take that up.
But the thing is that it's also the engine you really don't want.
well, hey,
and that
you
you
can
can
buy all
easily-
the parts now.
Yeah, you can easily pull that engine and put much more desirable, literally any other engine on Earth, into it. And then, now I can get parts for it.
Well,
so,
I'm hoping that they continue that. I'm sure they will, because they're clearly very strategically going through and figuring out what people need most. Because right now, they started with rear brake calipers, rear axle shafts, and the steering knuckle, which
that
are all
is
unique
actually
parts.
unique, and all I've
It's
had to deal with sourcing all of those for France, and they are impossible.
Yep, it's just like getting bumper reflectors for an E30 M3, a rear piece of glass, and a spark plug tool.
The other day,
These
we
are items that are not as like immediately required for the daily operation of a vehicle
Correct.
as like a caliper.
Right, I mean, but again, impossible to find.
Exactly. I'm here
Speaking
for it.
of rear windows, the other day we saw somebody replace their rear window with the little plastic cover you put on egress windows.
Oh yeah.
And I was laughing so hard because it looked legit. It like
Yeah,
looked
solid.
like a legit
It's a
window.
fastback.
Yeah.
It
They'd done
worked
it
really well.
so
They, like,
nicely
it was
that the
really
only
nicely
reason
done,
we
yeah.
could tell was because
It was at night, obviously.
yeah.
But like, you were like, I was like, I
I was like, that's a cool rear window, and then we were both like, wait a second.
I had to get about 10 feet away from the car before, not 10 feet, 10 yards away from the car, and then I go, oh,
Wait a second.
is that an egress window?
Like it was fantastic. I was like,
It was a perfect fix.
I was
so
like
great.
in ovation.
And the guy, like,
my
he put it
God.
with duct tape and everything. The duct tape, it was a black car. It's like, you couldn't tell at night, like, until you're, like, on top of the car. That
And
was
he
an
like
egress
taped
window.
it from like the inside too, so you couldn't really like see it on the outside.
Yeah,
That's
like,
amazing.
he had, like,
It took
he
very
had about
careful.
probably 3 inches of, like, duct tape around it.
Fine. It's window seat.
But, I mean, like, no, that's, I mean, like, on the outside, having only 3 inches of duct tape holding it in, like, it's very good. Like,
I've never seen anyone like embrace the quality of their own Klug.
Yeah,
That would
It
be
was-
fascinating.
it was great.
I would like wait in the parking lot to talk to that guy. Like, this is so well done.
We were on the highway, so unfortunately,
Oh, like I need to
yeah,
hear
I
your
really
story.
wanted to hear the guy's story about it.
I was just like,
So-
that's fantastic.
Well,
So-
tell him that he should buy an 8086 that needs rear brake calipers, rear axles, and a steering shaft.
Yeah.
Or one that's been driven into a tree.
Or that.
Also, that was like $5,000. That's like the cheapest A86 I've seen in like forever.
Yeah, that's ridiculous because the rest of the car looked decent.
So usually if you buy an 86 that's under $10,000, it's a flood car.
Oh yeah.
And it's like done for. Like you're getting basically
I'm just
a
saying
handful of parts from the roof that are usable.
The picture you showed me, the rest of the car looked good.
It was rough by any other stretch. If this car was any car other than an 86, it'd be a $200 car all day long. Was the 86 is $5,000. So,
Excuse me.
yeah, no, I'm really happy these parts are here. Now, I do want to talk about one other thing. We're gonna play a game of Am I the Asshole?
Oh, okay. I'm good at this one.
All right. So,
The
I
answer is
live
yes.
in inner city St. Paul.
Same.
Okay. So as you know, it's not anywhere you would ever have a fucking camper around, would you?
No, but plenty of people do.
So it's not a camper trailer. This is a whole ass RV.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole ass 12-foot wide RV. It is the literal, like, the mirrors are inset from the width of the rear because the rear is the, like, federally mandated maximum width of a vehicle. It's fucking huge.
And we
It's
live
super annoying. And one
Far
second.
more inner city than you do.
Yeah.
So we get.
I mean, technically.
But you're close to the highway. And,
Yeah.
like, you're,
I'm also closer to the center of the city, so.
Yeah.
Well-
But like where our street is, we get a lot more people that aren't neighbors
Oh, yeah.
parking on our street.
yeah. So
That's
anyway.
what I mean by far more.
I
into
have
the
done
city.
my duty on my street.
Yeah.
I don't even park anything in front of my house right now, and nobody else does either.
Good.
Well, we
So,
have the opposite.
Anyway,
problem.
so, honey, let me finish, please. So
It's
this
a giant camper.
gigantic camper. And also, you live on a dead end. I live
I do.
on a
Through street.
not through street, a side street. And on my side street, people will use it as a through street because University Avenue has stop lights and we have stop signs. So they'll just go down my street like 70 miles an hour. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I watch people hit a speed bump and they have to run the stop sign. Not speed bump, but like a pothole, and they have to run the stop sign because their suspension is articulating and their anti-lock brakes are like not working because like one wheel's off the ground.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, like I'm watching people people totally like get yourself killed, drive down my street like a maniac.
Awesome.
My neighbor here has this dickhead camper, and he doesn't park it in front of his house because it's too big. It is
How unfortunate.
it's a little bit longer than this. It's about the size of a city bus.
Okay. Yep.
It's huge. And so he parks this on the side of the road and in front of other people's houses.
Yep.
And we live next
Does
to
he
this.
move it around too to avoid getting
Yes.
ticketed?
Yeah.
There's one of those in my neighborhood
And
too.
we live next to a fucking stadium.
And
Oh.
a
So
bar.
yeah, and a
Several
bar.
bars.
So regularly you just can't fucking park in front of your house.
Cool.
Because there's other people there. And then this dickhead is taking his gigantic camper
You're on
and
3
adding it.
F-bombs for the episode, by the way.
Okay, sorry. Well, I guess this one's getting. I'm really mad at this guy. I'm like, last time he parked his camper in front of my house, I almost wanted to I wanted to take the Schrader valves out of his tires.
I keep those tools in my car.
Like, I was just like, I'm so over it. Like, I'm just over it with this guy. So this is the thing.
I'm glad the camera's working just well enough.
On several accounts, I've been getting out of my car, and I have to I can't just use my mirror when I park.
Sure, because it's
And-
2 feet after that.
Yeah, and also I'm aware that I've got a Fiat 500. I'm aware that I cannot pull up to the curb entirely and expect to be able to see behind the car behind me. So I will pull out to wherever the rest of traffic is relative to the lane. So I'll have 2.5 feet on my passenger side, and I'll be even with the pickup truck in front of me. And I'm still not able to see around this goddamn camper.
Which likes to park in my spot.
Yeah, and so right in front of
Excellent.
Yeah, right in front of where our camera is. So I can't also can't park my car in front of my camera. And so
Because we have a tree there, so it's convenient for this person to hide it from university. So squad cars driving past won't see it.
yeah, so he just has this shitty camper. And then so anyway, there's been several accounts where I've had to stick my head out of my car, get out of my car, stick my head out from behind the camera, see if something's coming, and almost get hit by one of those cars going 70 miles an hour down my street. Almost just have my head blown off by this by a Dodge Journey. And
That's exactly what it would
yeah,
do too.
yeah, it's exactly the kind of car that's doing this. And this dickhead with this camper will leave it there for 2 whole weeks
Oh, you got to start calling it. Or no, not calling it in. The St. Paul Reported Incident website.
I will do that.
That is the one that gets people out there.
I'm gonna start doing that because.
How many? 2 days?
It's 48 hours.
48 hours.
Okay, yeah, this guy parks for about 2 weeks at a time.
At a time.
And so he will park in front of random people's houses for 2 weeks at a time. And it is. Am I the asshole for absolutely fucking hating this trash?
If you live where we live, you should not have an RV.
Ever. No.
Because it doesn't even
fuck
fit
is wrong
in our
with you?
alleyways.
Same thing as having like a giant boat.
No, you don't own that. What you do, if you have that,
You rent one.
You get a rental parking spot at just a storage
But they can't
facility.
afford that.
Then you can't afford to own the RV.
Correct.
Because if you can't afford the storage,
When
you
has
can't
that ever
afford the
stopped
maintenance.
an American
And so,
from buying something they can't
even
afford?
more context to the reason why we're upset about this is there's someone on our block that owns a food truck, and they park it on the off street. They don't park it in front of their house. They park it on the off street where no one parks because it's just like it's an empty lot, and then the house. We're pretty sure that they rent the house on the corner, and they park it,
next
but
to
they
their
park
house.
it on the side street where nobody else parks.
It's not feasible.
Sure, a
'cause
north-south street, not
there's-
an
yeah,
east-west,
well,
where all the traffic
It's a
happens.
north-south street. It is like a three-way intersection on it, so it just goes to University. You can't get onto the street from University unless you're going University westbound. So because the light rails, there's no traffic on this road. Is what I'm saying. Also, there's this house and there's 2 empty lots next to it. So there's literally no reason for anybody to ever park there. So this guy, and also the food truck, is a short wheelbase workforce. What was it? Fleet Master? Thrift Master. So it's the typical food truck. That's what it's called. It's called Workforce Thrift Master.
Like the Frito-Lay trucks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like that, but it's a short wheelbase. It's a short wheelbase, so it's like half the length of a normal one.
Okay.
It's SS Dude Nuts truck. If you're familiar with that food truck.
It's a donut truck.
It's a donut truck. They
Run by
just
some college students.
it takes up no space at all. It is it's about the length of a 70s Lincoln Continental.
And once it
It's
snows, they don't
huge.
park it on the street.
Yeah, and once it snows, they put it in the storage. These assholes with this fucking RV will just move it all over town once it starts snowing.
Yep.
And then that creates a bigger problem because if the east-west streets are being plowed,
Oh, yeah.
then I can't park my car on my north-south street.
Somehow it disappears whenever there's street cleaning or snow plowing. It gets moved then, but it sits for 2 weeks at a time.
The day before the next
I'm
week
going to
when you pull
absolutely-
the Schraders out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to start calling this in.
Calling it in doesn't
reporting
work.
it to the incident website.
The only time calling it in works is the snow emergency line during a snow emergency, and if the person's diligent about moving it for that, you have to use the St. Paul website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to use that St. Paul
but
website because I'm just
they
over it.
I have it
also-
bookmarked.
They also knocked over our no parking sign when the street cleaning happened, so Ryan got a ticket
Yeah.
because
Oh, yeah. I forgot to
didn't
mention that part.
see-
I totally forgot to mention that part. Because this is a big, dumb, fucking stupid RV, and they have to 3-point park it. The overhang knocked over the no parking sign in front of my house and shoved it into a shrub. And so I got a ticket when the street cleaning happened because they clean the streets at 9 o'clock in the
That
morning.
would
and
make
I wake
me-
up at 10.
Unconscionably irate.
I'm so fucking mad because I knew where that truck was. And then I come out to go get lunch at like 1.
the only car on the street is Ryan's Fiat.
I see my fucking parking ticket. I go, motherfucker. And I go, it says street sweeping. And then I look, and I go, where the fuck's my goddamn no parking sign? And then I just walk around as I'm looking for it because I'm like, all right. If
Well, that's
this,
when you take a picture of this crap and you go in and find
I
it.
did.
It's
Don't
like,
worry. I already did.
okay,
That's
okay,
what
good.
I'm planning to do. I'm also going to wait until like the last day.
Good.
To then say I'm going to fight it because I'm going to take up all their time. And so.
It takes stuff to court just to waste more city employees'
Yeah,
time.
exactly. That's exactly what I plan on doing. And then so my tree has like the tree that Janet talked about has like kind
Which
of like
is technically
it's like
not
kind
on
of
our
it's kind of like
property.
overgrown. It's got like some like other weird shit growing around it. And so I look inside that weird shit, and lo and behold, there's a little sign that says "No parking, November 5th" or whatever.
Oh, the paper things with the
yeah,
wood stake on it.
yeah, the stake
Yeah.
shoved in there. No parking November 5th from like 7 a.m. until like 2 p.m. And I'm like, this son of a bitch. Like, I
If
know.
they ticketed you for that, you will absolutely get this thing ticketed multiple times at that website.
Good.
Because I report stuff, and it still takes 2 or 3 attempts.
This guy is, I'm so mad. I'm really happy I'm not the asshole here. Because I'm, like, so over this. And I feel like a dick. Like,
You and I are just the only people that live in the city that are actually willing to be that dick.
And so, we have, like, a neighborhood, like, Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's next door, but there's also a neighborhood group, which is, like, much nicer. And, like, I kind of want to say something in the neighborhood Facebook group and be like, hey, does anybody else feel weird when there's, like, a camper that's parked in front of your house and you can't...
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, and you can't park in front of your house for 2 weeks because there's a camper there? For 2 weeks?
And like,
How long again? I missed it.
2 whole weeks.
and like the thing is, like Ryan's Fiat fits in our driveway, but because we live behind a bar, our driveway is short, so he can park the Fiat in it, but I can't park my Sienna in it. So like, this RV parking where this tree is means that I cannot park my Sienna, and I have to like.
She has to walk a half a block.
Yeah, so I end
to
up
the house.
leaving my Sienna at my parents' house most of the time, and because I don't
This
have
is
the
the whole Accord situation.
that's
why
why
we
I
had
have
the
the
Accord.
Accord.
Because it doesn't make sense to put the
Sure.
to have to deal with the Sienna.
yeah.
Sounds
'cause-
like you need a second Fiat 500.
yeah.
I think we do.
That's what I'm
I think that's the correct answer. Is
Yeah.
we need 2 Fiat 500s.
And then we'll have 3 cars in our impossibly short driveway and confuse everyone. It's
fine.
gonna be a
The
fun
other
time.
issue is because we're behind a bar,
Mhm.
I lock the gate from the inside,
Yeah.
so we don't have bar patrons walking through our yard.
That makes sense.
So then I have to walk, like, because I have to move, like, park, because of this camper guy, I have to walk an entire city block to get into my house. Because everybody has a fence.
I'm glad that this the RV in my neighborhood that rotates around all the time. It's been shocked multiple times, but it belongs to a service station that's a block away. It's the
Yeah.
Roy service on the corner. They have room in their lot for this thing, but they work on so many customer cars it ends up in the street. And I see them almost every morning when I go to work. This thing's idling, about to be moved, or is currently moving around.
good.
And it ends up on Maria, which is the street just up from
Yeah.
me. I've only seen it on my street twice, and it's way up at the top of the block. I'm like, if that ever comes in front of my house,
Oh yeah.
I will find somebody that doesn't have morals to pay to deal
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should
That
ask-
man that dealt with Corey's car.
Yeah, I'll find him. Be like, hey, you want something good to light on fire? Let me introduce you to this bad
Maybe
boy.
I should ask Chris, my mom's friend that lives across the street from us. Maybe I should have him.
Watch it be
start
his
asking-
car, and this
I don't
turns
think
into a
it's-
whole, like, Curb Your Enthusiasm thing.
It would be.
It's like you're, like, mom's, like, best friend, and I'm just like,
But yeah, maybe I should get him to start gossiping about this RV.
yeah, I'm really over the fucking RV. Like, oh my god, I'm not.
I would not have gathered from everything. you
The
talked
thing
about.
is, like, I'm not a NIMBY person until it comes to RVs, and then I'm a NIMBY person.
Well, and like, it's the fact that we literally
Like,
cannot
I
tell
moved-
whose it is
I
because
moved into my shitty neighborhood to avoid RVs, and here I am,
And lo and behold,
a fucking RV. This is like 10. I was like,
no, it's
I'm
probably like
so
30.
mad. I'm so mad about this
it's
damn
over 10.
RV. All right.
Is this the good place? I think
Yeah.
it might be. All right, I want to talk about an electric cute car. It's called the Ora Cat. It's a Chinese-made EV.
Ooh.
It takes a lot of
Yes.
cues from the Mini, the Fiat 500, and it's got just like this super weird mix of like Italian-styled interior.
I was actually going to.
and, oh, the Ora Cat's so cool.
I was
But
going to mention this.
we're not getting it here.
Boo.
It is, okay, so it's got one powertrain option. It's about 200 horse. It is front-wheel drive, but it has a 58 kilowatt-hour battery, and it's cheap. I mean, it's about 25 grand before any government grants in Europe.
And
Granted,
we're
that's
not getting it?
pounds. We're not getting it. So, I mean, it'd probably be like 30 grand here base, but before tax credit, which would potentially be 7,500 bucks. So this might be like low 20s for a pretty cool, pretty small, granted, Chinese made, but that stuff's getting better all the time, EV with a pretty large battery. So,
Why aren't they bringing it?
I'm sure it's regulatory or something like that.
Where is it made?
It's made in China.
That's why.
I think. Oh, well, let me confirm. It actually might be made in Britain.
It says China
Manufactured.
a lot.
It does not state in the article.
I'm pretty sure it's just Chinese because the one I was going to
It's a Chinese company.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's a Chinese built. Yeah, it says further down. It says Chinese made several times.
Okay.
That's why.
Johnny Smith did a pretty good late break show video segment on one of these.
This is
and,
great.
it's-
love it.
It's a cool thing. I like it.
Its
It
a logo
looks very
is an
surprised.
exclamation mark.
It is. It's like a swoopy. It's like the early '90s Mazda logo, mixed with like a cat's nose. But it's also called the Cat.
Yeah, it's great.
It's the Ora Cat. But I mean, the interior is super nice. It's like double French stitched, and it looks very Italian.
Honestly, cheap EVs make me want to move to India. Like,
this actually looks very Indian. Come to think of it, but
well, I mean, because India's like just lousy with them. Like, 'cause I'm on a base model only Facebook group, which is amazing.
yeah, I'm on that now too. Thanks.
It's really, really good. And it's like half the posts are just like Indian people showing these weird like base model Chinese cars that are just everything I've ever wanted in my life. And it's just like, yes, I would like a 3-cylinder manual window, manual mirror, air conditioned, like compact sedan with a manual transmission and independent suspension, because you don't want to make like a long bar that goes across the car. Like, it's great. I love that.
And this doesn't strike me as that base, but yeah, I mean, clearly they're going balls to the wall to offer people something at a price point. I mean, it's just like, remember when Hyundai Kia came to this country? It's like,
This is great.
let me give you an Accord for half price.
I want Chinese cars so bad. Like, China's been making great cars, and we don't get them because of Republican people.
Yeah.
And it forces our companies to do better, make better product.
Yeah, and no, instead of making better product, they come up with arbitrary reasons why this car can't be imported. Like, yes,
And then they give us a giant ZDX Integra.
Yeah, and it's like they said, well, it's not as safe. I'm like,
Yes,
it is literally fine. Like,
This is made out of melted down Kurtz. It's fine.
Everybody else,
I-
everybody else on Earth seems to be okay with it. For some reason, it's not okay for American roads.
Oh.
And half of our cars aren't legal to drive in Europe.
Yeah, I don't.
Wouldn't surprise me
I
if
don't
it's more than
understand
that,
the whole like American like bigger equals better, and then like and
Bigger equals safer.
Ooh, yeah, more metal.
Yeah, more shit flying at you.
Yeah, great.
and that like American cars are better or American built cars are better, and I'm like,
They're
what?
objectively,
I mean,
it's been objectively worse since forever.
like
Yeah, it's been a
most
long time.
American cars aren't even built in America anymore.
And that's a big one, too. It's like, well, I want my Malibu, not my Camry, because I
Well-
like American made. I'm like, do you know which one's actually made in the United States? Because it's the Camry.
Also, when
And
we're
then you
talking
go down
about,
to Georgia, and they're all driving Honda Ridgelines because they're built in Atlanta.
well, the other thing is with that, this whole supply chain issue and how every car is stupid expensive now. This is every car is waiting on something that needs to come from somewhere other than here, because we don't make a single semiconductor here.
Well, we make shitloads, actually.
Not
Intel
with-
and
not
AMD
with, not
are...
with stuff that we
Well,
made
actually,
here.
Intel, yeah. But, like, we have huge fabs here.
But
We're
I mean,
getting a bunch more.
we
but-
don't actually mine it. That's what I'm saying. It's like we're
Correct.
within the supply chain. It's not American made. It's
Right.
it's assembled in America. American assembled.
It's
Even
it's
that's a
amazing.
stretch.
We manufacture very little here, but like as far as tech goes, I could not believe when I looked into it how much of that crap is made here. But yeah, to your point, like a lot of stuff is not. A lot of it's Indonesia and
Yeah.
like not even necessarily China.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're
It's
right.
Indonesia and Vietnam. China's kind of dead in the water.
It's
I mean,
amazing how much stuff's made in Vietnam.
I
if you
love
look at it.
Vietnam. I want to go to Vietnam really bad.
I kind of do too, but I don't know anyone that lives there. So, and I would never go somewhere that I didn't have a local foot on the ground to
Yeah,
go with.
that's fair. And that's I'm actively looking for one because I really want to go to Vietnam. Like it's like number one. on
And
my
then buy a
bucket-
Vespa.
I was thinking
wants
more
a
like
suit.
I want to buy a $30 suit, but yes, a
10
Vespa.
million dong Vespa.
Yeah, $10 million Vespa. It's like it's like $5,000, brand new.
Or a million dong Ora Cat.
Yeah, or like a $30 like handmade silk suit, like with my face embroidered onto the back of it.
Speaking of traveling to Asia, I have more interesting information about Elena that you'll have to remind me to tell you about.
Okay, well, on that bombshell,
Yes,
these
indeed.
people don't know who
Oh,
one is.
wait.
Oh, we need to talk about
mm,
JCCS.
Maybe, but there was also something. Oh, I needed to remind everyone because I was reminded that not everybody knows this, but the 7th largest pyramid ever built is in the United States, and it is a Bass Pro Shop.
Oh yeah, I saw that online
That's
too.
true. Speaking of American made,
Oh, we do it.
did
big
you
the
want
wrong
to?
way.
Let's talk about JCCS and SEMA
Yes.
next time. How about that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering we're at an hour and 34 minutes, that's probably
Yeah, we
smart.
don't want to talk everybody's ear off. So, all right. Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for rejoining us, everyone. We will get back to
Bye.
regularly
It's gonna be my birthday
scheduled
next time. Bye bye.
content on Jenna's birthday. Bye.